Welcome to Pursue, the Bluffton Community Podcast. Here we talk about what it means that God pursues us, how we pursue Him in our daily lives, and how we help others begin pursuing Jesus themselves. Whether you're new to faith, growing deeper, or helping others follow Christ, this podcast is for you. Let's pursue Jesus together.
Buenos dias and happy day after Cinco de Mayo for those of you who celebrate. I celebrate my family's Hispanic.
How do you say May 6th in Spanish?
Cinco de Mayo.
May 6th.
That's the fifth,
Oh,
bro.
6th, bro.
I thought you were Hispanic.
Seis
Yeah.
de Mayo.
Okay. Happy 6 de Mayo.
Well, this is the day after.
Seso de Mayo.
Seso de Mayo. Well, anyway, happy
So?
day after that.
You know, he's part Hispanic. He told me that, and he can obviously speak it so well.
I can. That's kind of funny. Never mind. Inside. That's a joke. Anyway, we're back already. This is kind of like a bonus episode, 2 in 1 week.
Yeah.
The first one
Back-to-back days, actually.
Feels like a bonus. Right?
Yeah.
The first one released on Monday? Tuesday?
Monday on Spotify, Tuesday on
Tuesday on
YouTube.
YouTube.
So you had to wait a day to see all of this.
All of that.
Right. Well, what is that? Absence makes the heart go fonder?
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
That's
so it's
what
good.
it was intentional.
It's good. So podcast number 3, kind of maybe 2.5 because it's kind of like a bonus one. I think I told you guys we get into a rhythm. I think we're starting to do that.
Working on it.
We're getting there.
And again, thanks to the deacons because you got us set up. Yeah, this space has been great.
We should also welcome the one and only Matthew McConaughey.
All right,
All right,
all right.
We love you.
All right. We're going to do that every
We need to come up
single
with different
time.
movie quotes. We can't do all right every time. The not minister of culture for Texas Longhorns.
That's right.
The other Matthew McConaughey.
Other Matthew McConaughey.
Other Matthew McConaughey.
We need to do our
What a-
Matthew
what a
McConaughey
label.
quotes, and he's kind of quiet though. So
He just
Yeah.
likes to wake up in the morning
Yeah.
and be better than everyone. That's typically what he goes
Y'all
with.
should see the smile on his face right now. I know you can't
Right
see
now,
it because
when
he's behind the
he's
cameras.
muting us.
Yeah,
He's going to talking
we
about
can't.
mute,
We're not even
mute.
saying anything right now.
We
It's just
need to-
mouths moving.
Right.
we need to get him a mic so he can like press a button and chime in.
Yeah, producer Mike.
Producer Mike.
Producer Mike, get in there.
Producer Matt needs a producer Mike.
That's right.
That'd be good. All right. Well, again, a happy Mother's Day coming up this weekend. I know last podcast, regrettably, Marty made some comments trying to claim Mother's Day for the fathers. I'm not here for that.
I don't believe that at all.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
It's Kyle's lie. He
was
can tell
me.
it however he
No,
wants.
it was
Okay.
me.
All
It was
right.
me. I'm just
All
trying to
right.
cover up for it. So how are you guys doing today? Good? Everybody good?
Doing great, man.
Doing great.
Thanks for
Doing
asking.
Great. Yep.
Yeah, nice, good.
Yeah.
So
Good to be back.
What's that?
Good to be back.
Good to be back.
Right.
Good to be back. So let's hop into it. We talked a little bit last podcast about anger because that was the sermon coming up. We just had that sermon. Let's talk about a few things that maybe didn't make it in. Like what are some stuff that you kind of wanted to get at that we did not get to in the sermon?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I kind of mentioned, at least during the 9 o'clock service, I don't know if I made the same reference during the 11 o'clock, but in my study and my research is like I was going through and trying to find different teachings. You know, what are other people saying? What have they said about anger? And I stopped saving one teacher in specific who's just kind of an exegetical preacher, which just means he kind of picks a book of the Bible and works through it. And I stopped counting at 7 videos that he had done on anger. And so if you would just start at the beginning of the Bible and you taught all the way through the end of the Bible, just straight through, which would be really, really hard. Anger is going to be something that comes up a lot. And I think that's because there's a lot of us who probably struggle with anger, if we're being honest. And quite honestly, that was one of the interesting things with this teaching is we mentioned it, that this was a kind of a question that came on the blue card and just said, hey, I would love to hear a podcast conversation. I would love to hear a sermon. I would love to get resources on anger. And so we went with that. And I talked to Fritz, and at Lighthouse, he was sensing some similar things. And so just really interesting. The feedback on this was like, oh my gosh, I really enjoyed hearing what the Bible talks about on anger. I really needed that. I got a text from someone today, and I'm not going to share their names, but they're like, I'm putting your message into practice right now. I've got a stressful situation. Perfect. And so just text them back. I was like, hey, Selah, press that pause button and get your mind right. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But one of the things that we didn't get to, which is hard to believe because I think I went for like 50 minutes this weekend, is that very end of Ephesians 4:27, like don't give the devil a foothold. And so we had that book on the resource table, the Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table. And for the first time that I've ever remembered, we had a resource table book that was sold out, like, which I say sold, they're free. But like all of those books were gone. So obviously that was something that people were kind of like gravitating towards. We actually had like 24 more people put that on their connection card that they want that book. And so we're ordering more, and we'll have those for you this weekend. But that terminology is kind of interesting because it's like one of the ways that you can think about that is like if you are trying to get into a door, like someone's closing a door and you like shove your foot in there and just get that little crack in the door, you can kind of work that door open.
Right.
But the way that the Bible, the language in the Greek kind of refers to that is you are essentially selling property to Satan. And so it's like, don't give Satan property in your heart through your anger. And so I think if we thought about it like that, most of us would be like, yeah, I don't want Satan to have any property in my life. But we do through anger. And so one of the other things that I just wanted to kind of get you guys' feedback on is just like when you think about that idea of not letting the sun go down on your anger. Like Psalm 4 said it a little bit differently. It said like sit in your bed, ponder, and then it talked about like Selah, that sort of thing. It kind of gives you a different picture. But like when you guys have always heard or been taught, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Like what's your response to that? Like what have you heard on that?
Yeah, it's a funny one, right? Like it's the thing that everybody says at a wedding, right? They come to you and they're like, hey, don't let the sun go down in your anger. And there's good heart in that and what they're saying. But I think you said it really well. Like, obviously, God lets the sun set on his anger, right? And maybe you have a note on that. The thing that I was thinking about, you talked about the property thing. And that's just been going off in my head since you said that. And what it made me think about is Satan, once he has property, he doesn't just let it sit. He likes to build on that property, right? That's good. And so, the longer we let it sit there, he starts building something. And for me, what that picture looks like is that anger starts to fester and starts to do something real negative that we don't want in our lives, right? And it starts to not only do that, it'll spread into other parts. It'll encroach on the property lines and start messing with other stuff. So that's a bit of what I think about with the anger side.
He's planting one of those super dirty whirligig maple trees like right on your property line.
Gross.
Oh yeah.
Those things drive me crazy. No, I agree. One of the things I wanted to say, I guess, before I even got into this was I've been going to church for my whole life basically, and I, honest to goodness, don't know that I've had a sermon or heard a sermon that was specifically addressing anger. And it's kind of crazy if you think about it because it's like a big deal. Like I think it's something everybody has a struggle with. It's something that, people are really kind of trying to work through a lot. So awesome. Great suggestion. Whoever was asking the questions.
I think
it was good.
Can I just throw in on that? For me, I was traveling this week, so I got to enjoy via art. And Ben, you did a great job, but I got to join online. I didn't get to be here in the house with everybody. And it was great. I think you did a great job. But if anybody's listening to this going like what Kyle just said is, he's saying, hey, this was really good. I'm telling you it's really good. Go catch it. It's on YouTube. It's on wherever else we post those things. But Ben, you did great, and you ought to go back and listen to it because it was valuable.
Right. And I think my response to not letting the sun go down on your anger is pretty similar. Like if the more time you give something like that to just sit inside you, and like we've all done that, right? Like you've been like, oh, I'm so mad at whatever, and I'm just going to sit here and be like, the disrespect is what gets me. Then it's the next thing. And you know what? They didn't even think about this. And you know what? they didn't even do this or they didn't even do that. It is so like it's exactly like you were saying. Like you give him real estate, he's just going to build, he's going to plant dirty trees. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be something you're not interested in. And I to me, that's what that means, right? It means get over whatever it is that you need to be getting over. And some of those things are okay. We talked about this last time. There's righteous anger, right? Or righteous indignation. But I think to me, that's what that means. So pretty similar, I think.
Yeah. He's in there and he's not even paying rent.
I think we're on the same page. Yeah.
I think you kind of referenced something really good there a second ago, right? Like you talked about some of the stuff Ben talked about, things that they're okay to be angry about. I know I had a student when I was in high school ministry, I had a student that she wanted to go fight against human trafficking. That was a thing that mattered to her a lot. And so we supported her and went and got to be a part of that. And it was just heartbreaking to hear the stories that she would come back with. Yeah. And so, like I said, heartbreaking also makes you furious to see the control in the way that people move stuff around. I don't know if you had some more that you wanted to talk about on that, Ben?
Yeah, I think that was one of the things, like we brought up some really scary statistics, right? You know, the number of children that have been sacrificed in the name of healthcare. We talked about the number of children that have been, sold into slavery or kidnapped into slavery. I mean, it's really not selling. They're just being stolen into slavery within our own country. The number of Christians, I think, before we started recording, we said last year alone was one of the highest martyrdom rates in Christian history. And so, just some scary statistics. And one of the things that, we kind of pointed to in the sermon was when we feel like we are too far away or we feel like we are too small to do anything about these things, we can pray. We know that is our number one response. We know that is the most effective response. And honestly, part of the problem is we jump into action too soon. And we have no ability to have an effect on any of these things. We can donate money, but it's when we pray, we're taking this to the one who's in control. And so we can put it in his hands and we can trust him to do what's good and what's right and what's best. And we'll talk, I think, a little bit more about that in a little bit. But one of the things that we also just kind of talked about is some critique from that is I feel like we talked about these things, but we didn't bring resolution to these things. And so, that's one of the things is there may not be resolution to some of these things, right? But B, what are the things that we can do? What are the things that we can, support some of that kind of stuff? And I think we're as a church working on some of that. Are there organizations within our community that we could support that would be good? And if there are, we need to partner with those people.
Our name is Bluffton Community.
Correct.
So yeah,
some of that kind of stuff. But one of the things in again, if I'm getting ahead of myself, one of the things we're going to be talking about in the next several weeks is the organization Global Fingerprints. And I can remember, Kelly, who's working with Global Fingerprints, just kind of came back with a testament to the power of what supporting a child through Global Fingerprints, through a Compassion International, through One Child. I know my wife and I support a child through that, but it's there are families who are put in situations where it's they have people coming to purchase their children, and they have no way to feed these kids, they have no way to support these kids, and so it's I could actually make a lifetime of money by selling my child into one of these slavery rings.
It's awful.
I don't want to do that, but I don't have any other options. And then Global Fingerprints comes in and says, hey, there's an American in Bluffton, Ohio, who is donating money. And because of that, not only is your child not going to go into that awful situation, they're going to get fed, they're going to get to go to school, they're going to hear the gospel in a church, so we're going to be talking about some of those kind of things in the weeks to come. But yeah, it's just man, what do we do? What do we do?
Talk about getting a foothold or getting real estate, being that parent or caretaker of a kid who is considering that.
Yeah. Can you imagine being so desperate that you would even like think twice?
It's heartbreaking and it's infuriating at the exact same time, right? Like, but that's that perfect example, like the little suggestion, right? Like, oh, well, maybe, yeah. And then, well, no, that's awful. Can't do that. Well, and then it just festers over time and like just.
Well, and I know for I can only speak for myself because I know my heart. There are times where it's like, man, I just don't even want to know what's going on. I just don't even want to think about the fact. And the thing that we all have to kind of do a better job with, and this is me speaking to Ben here, is I have a 13-year-old daughter. And I've got to think about if that would happen to her, how would I want someone to respond?
Right.
How, would I want them to just be like, I just can't think about that. Or would I want people who are, equipped and trained and supported to go out and do everything that they can to try to make that happen? And again, like that's kind of what we're talking about here with like, we're not just getting angry, going on Facebook and spouting off, right? That doesn't do anything. Correct. It doesn't help anybody. I think sometimes we use that and it's like, oh, I'm raising awareness. No, you're not. You are venting, and that's exactly what the Bible says not to do. However, when anger stirs us to pray, when anger stirs us to actively seek out solutions and things that I can support that are healthy, that are gospel centered and are going to glorify the kingdom, man, that's a good thing, right?
I think we're not experts on that, right? So let the experts make those statements, and if organizations that are good and you see something and you're like, oh hey, they're fighting human trafficking, they're fighting abortion, like repost that stuff all you want.
Well, and I think one of the points that I made in the message yesterday, and again, like just really skimmed right over this, but it's like most of us watched that movie, right? That what was the movie called?
The Underground Railroad.
It was
Operation Underground Railroad movie.
So that's the organization, but it's like, and we all were like riled up. We're like, oh my gosh, that Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. There you go.
And it's like, powerful movie. And the movie didn't really go into any of those specific types of things. But like that organization's being run and managed by a Mormon guy. And many people, I think, fell into the trap of we are going to financially support Operation Underground Railroad. And by doing that, you're now supporting a Mormon foundation, Mormon organization. That's not a Christian organization. I'm just going to go out and say it. But it's like, so we then have to do that Selah, press pause, and go like, okay, is that an organization that deserves my dollars? Because if it's not, just because they're doing a good thing doesn't mean that it's a good organization that we have to support. And we got to be careful of that kind of stuff too, jumping into things too quickly.
I think across the board, that's probably some solid advice. Just to really look into
do your
what
research.
Right. No, do your research. For sure. So moving on to the next part of that, I've heard life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond.
Yeah.
Somebody,
Marty, who said that?
Near and dear to my heart, said that.
Lou Holtz.
Yeah, Lou Holtz said that.
Holtz. R.I.P. Lou Holtz. Yeah. Love you, Lou.
Go Irish.
But you brought up something. Go Irish for sure.
Yeah.
Right, Marty? Say go Irish.
Quack.
Oh, boo.
You don't dislike Notre Dame.
I don't dislike Notre Dame. It's fine. Go Irish if they're not playing Oregon. It's fine.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, go Green.
All right. But I had never heard the other equation you brought up, which is E plus R equals O.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because that was interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so interestingly enough, the way that I was introduced to that was Urban Meyer's book when he was at Ohio State and won a national championship, which which is proof that I thought it was really important, because
I immediately take back
I read
the question.
I know, right? I know.
Done.
But it was the book Above the Line. But here's the thing. It was a book that Urban Meyer wrote, but you could really tell that the bulk of the material was coming from someone else, and his name was Tim Kite. And he was one that I did a little bit of research on. And the really cool thing is Tim Kite would not only use that equation, that E plus R equals O, which is event plus response equals outcome, which essentially is you can't control the events that happen to you. You can't control the circumstances of life, but you can control your responses. You can choose a disciplined response rather than a default response. Right. And so no matter what happens, no matter the emotions, the feelings that you have that are ramping you up at the moment, if this is what he would always say, you press pause, you get your mind right, then you step up and make a decision on a response that is going to put you in the best position to get the outcome that you're looking for. And that's what the O is. And so, as I was reading that book, that was the system of behavior that the Ohio State Buckeyes used, and they won a national championship that year. And so it got huge.
Important to note, Urban Meyer came up under Lou Holtz. So
very great point.
Probably learned
Notre Dame wide receivers coach.
He probably learned the E plus R equals O.
No, he learned it from
Lou Holtz.
But
I'm going to go with Lou Holtz.
But one of the things that was really cool is as I was starting to use that within my classroom as a teacher and within my schools as a principal, I found out more and more about Tim Kite. And he had actually gone and gotten a master's in divinity and just was a faithful follower of Christ. And one of the cool things was he would release a devotion for the Ohio State football team, and that got leaked out. And so then he started providing this devotion that everybody could read, which was really neat. And then in the end of his life, he contracted cancer, and he lived it out. This wasn't a guy that just wrote this and made money off of this. It's I'm dying of cancer, and I get to choose my R. I get to choose. I didn't choose cancer. That was an E. But now I get to choose how do I respond to this and what outcome do I receive from it. And it was really cool to watch a guy double down on, just what he knew was important and the biblical principles that were behind that of just that Selah, that press pause. Take a minute, think about what you want to say, think about how you want to react, and then step up and get active.
Yeah, I think that's a really good just lesson. The E plus R equals O thing is great because you think about, outcome driven decisions and everything like that. That spoke to me the whole time. Right when you said it, I was thinking the Lou Holtz quote in my head because it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's good.
But I think it's great.
That's the thing I would ask you. I think I heard clearly you said we're going to pause. Prayer seems like the first response, right? We ought to go to prayer. We ought to bring it to the Lord. That's
kind of how I always say it, press pause and pray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a second and go to the Lord, and seek his counsel, seek his advice on how do I respond to this situation.
Do you have any other practical things you do? Sometimes there's stuff that just brings energy up in you, right? And you got to do something with it. Is there anything that you found good for you to help you kind of expel some of that when that's going on?
Yeah, I think one of the other things, and it's very similar to that press pause, in taking that moment. I've read a lot of books by Navy SEALs, and it's they talk about detaching. And so we'll get target fixation. Some of the reason we get mad, we get angry is because we are so focused on a target that we can't see anything outside of that target. And what we need to do is we need to step back from the scope.
That's good.
And so they're talking about, looking at a gun, getting into the scope, and all you can see is that little focus thing of what the scope is. And what they would tell their snipers or they would tell their soldiers is in a battle, sometimes you got to get off the scope and you got to take in the whole picture, and you got to see everything that's going on in this moment. And so when we're angry, a lot of times it's because we're super hyper focused on one thing, and I'm not taking that detached look at the whole battlefield and going, okay, what is all of the things that are going on in our life. And that was the thing that as I was like preparing for this and thinking about this with Sarah, one of the things that I thought about is like, who are the people that you probably get angry with the most? It's probably the people that you're closest to.
Right.
It's probably the people that you spend the most time with. And so it's like wife and kids, they're just there. And so like there's a lot of times where it's like you just see yourself ramping up. You see yourself getting short-tempered and some of that kind of stuff. And so like, you know, fathers especially, and you know, I know Mother's Day is coming up and mothers can get mad too, but like fathers, I think that, you know, just thinking about our perspective, what a great opportunity to teach your kids about confession and repentance.
Right.
You are going to screw up. You are going to get angry. You're going to say something short, sarcastic, snarky, all of that stuff. And you have an opportunity to double down on that and be like, well, I'm your father. I get to talk to you however I want. Or you have an opportunity to be like, hey, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I lost my cool. And you know, now, if it's happening every 10 minutes, that I'm sorry and that confession and repentance isn't really going to stick because it's like, well, it doesn't really mean anything because in 10 minutes you're going to be mad again.
Right.
But if we truly do repent and we truly do like, you know, put those scriptures in our head, because that's just something we've talked about, and this is a perfect example. Having it is written. Ephesians 6:4, fathers, don't provoke your children to anger lest they become discouraged. Instead, bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. I have that memorized because I make my kids angry and I discourage them through that.
Yeah.
And I have to constantly go, Ephesians 6:4, Ben. Ephesians 6:4.
I think all fathers should probably have that stuck up here a little bit.
Yeah, the algorithms get me on this one. I kind of on an often basis. You know, my daughters range from 25 to 8, so I've got a little bit of perspective on this. The younger ones, they benefit from all the wrong things that I did with the top ones, right? Because I did wrong a lot.
Yep.
But it's the quote that pops up on my feed all the time that I send to the older ones. That it's like, I never want my kids to be like, I hope my dad doesn't find out about this. I would much rather than be like, I need to call my dad. He'll know what to do.
Yeah.
And trying to keep that perspective, like you're doing there, of like,
100%.
man, I'm going to try to make sure I build this in so that they know there's nothing they can do to make me love them any less. Right. Like,
absolutely.
I'm on their side. And you, as a father of a daughter, you know this too, as father of a daughter, like, and of all of our kids, you end up going like, hey, look, this is what I say to my daughters. I'm the only guy on the planet that I want nothing extra from you. Nothing. I just want you to win. I want you to be better and grow and succeed at everything you want, right? And so take care of your kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, take care of your daughters.
Right.
And that'll put them in the right spot so they know what to do, right? Love that.
Well, and fathers, this is a great moment for, you know, like fathers who have daughters.
Yeah.
You are teaching her how to be loved.
That's right.
So like when you love her well, when you respect her, when you show her care, you take care of her, man, she's going to know, man, this just doesn't feel right. This feels different than how my father loved me. And I want those red flags going off in my daughter's head. Like, this doesn't feel the same.
That's right.
And honestly, I'm going to be really, really patient because nobody is anywhere near that yet, you know. And it doesn't mean that someday I'm hoping she doesn't get married, because I do hope that for my daughter. But I hope that I have trained her on how to be loved by the time she gets to that point where she's ready to have those conversations.
And also, for her future husband, you're going to stop her when she's being an idiot so that she's not an idiot, right?
Yeah.
We love our daughters enough to tell them.
And so funny like takeaway from yesterday is, you know, my kids are all coming away and they all heard the sermon, and, you know, my son, middle son, he's just like, yeah, when you're talking about like getting angry, my daughter chimes in, she's like, you know, he wasn't talking about me because he's never angry at me. and my middle son, he's like, yeah, he was talking about me. And, you know, it's like,
There's a lot to that because my son is older than my daughter, and I am so different with him versus how I am with her. And my wife was always like, it's not fair. And I was like, well,
it's fair.
But
It's
this is the balance.
Yeah.
This is the balance
Yeah.
of a husband and a wife, right?
Right.
You know, like this is why we are necessary adversaries of each other.
That's right.
Because she's harder on my daughter, I think. I'm much more like, come here, girl. And she's the exact opposite on her boys. She is so soft on them, and it's like, well, now I got to ramp it up.
That's right.
I can like really, really lean in on my son. But if I say like, hey, Bryn, could you not do that maybe for 10 minutes? She'll just melt. And I'm like, all right, I'm a terrible person. Why did I do that? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, don't feel that.
No, I don't. Yeah. So I think one other aspect of that I think we can kind of throw in there is you were talking about how daughters feel loved or learn how to be loved from their fathers. I think they also learn how to be loved by watching their parents interact if they're lucky enough to be in that situation. So I think that's one more thing I'll throw out there. I think it's just as important to be a husband, if not more so, than to be a father.
Yeah.
Because
husbands, take care of your brides.
That's right.
Because
Take care
the
of your
kids
bride.
will grow up,
Well,
and
there's
there
that.
will be a planned emancipation. I think I've heard that term of your children. There's no planned emancipation of your wife.
That's right.
She's going to be there forever. That's the goal.
That's right. That's right. So I guess we'll put a ribbon on that, and then we'll move on to what we're doing this Sunday. Again, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. I don't know if we've said that yet, but happy Mother's Day. So what are we kind of teeing up for this sermon, or this next Sunday, this next sermon?
Yeah, so we've got another standalone that's coming up this Sunday, and so we're going to be in Colossians. We're going to be in chapter 1, verses 28 and 29, which say, "Him we proclaim," so Jesus we proclaim, "warning everyone and teaching everyone with all wisdom, that we may present everyone mature in Christ. For this I toil, struggling with all his energy that he powerfully works within me." And so the way we're going to kind of apply that to us is one of the things that we believe at Bluffton Community is that people who say yes to Jesus do 6 things. These are not 6 things that we can manufacture. These are not 6 things that we can force on people. They are just natural outflows of the Spirit being present in their life and working through them. And so one of the things, it's the very last outcome, is that people who say yes to Jesus join God in his mission to rescue people from sin and death. And so to me, that's what Paul's talking about here to the Colossians church. It's hey, are you on the rescue mission? Are you living your life on mission to help people be ready, to be mature? Are you out there warning them about, what the truth of life and all of that kind of stuff? And so we're going to spend a lot of time this weekend just kind of talking about what does it look like to live on mission. So.
Yeah, tell me more about that, man. What's it mean to live on mission? What's your what's that view look like?
So one of the interesting things is, and we kind of talked about this in the pre-show, is just I think what we have done is we have looked at pastors and like that's the guy who's on mission. And yeah, absolutely, I should be on mission, and that I'm not excused from this. But actually, the job of a pastor is to train and equip the saints, which is just a fancy word for believers, for the work of the ministry. And so every single person who walks in our doors who is a believer of Jesus Christ as their Savior should be living on mission. We talked about that a little bit when Bluffton Community started, that we want doors that open both directions. We want to welcome people in, but we also want to send people out.
That's right.
We want to put people into the mission field. And quite honestly, my mission field is smaller than it's ever been, because I'm now focused on the sheep that are coming into Bluffton Community. And really, when you go out to work, when anybody who comes to Bluffton Community goes out to their job, like they are actually in a mission field where there's probably a lot more lost people than we want to give it credit. We
Right.
believe there's 50,000 people in our county. We talk about like probably more like 100,000 people within our region, multiple counties put together, who don't know Jesus. Some of those people are sitting in churches. Most of those people aren't. What are we doing about it? And so we have to continually remind each other that, like, hey, if I've said yes to Jesus, one of the things that I should be doing is going out and being on that rescue mission, and because someone did that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't get here on my own. I got here because Brandon Couples showed up at a McDonald's and led a Bible study with high school kids, which, shout out to Brandon. He was here on Sunday. It was really cool.
It was good.
Paul Waldman, which we just got to celebrate his wedding to Heather Hostetler on Sunday after church. He was on a rescue mission.
That's right.
To help his son and his friends know the Lord, all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that most people, when they see hear mission or missionary, they automatically go to somebody in global missions, and that's true. That's absolutely a piece of it, right? Mm-hmm. I think I was telling you guys earlier that for me, I went on a global mission trip with my daughter. We have some friends that are missionaries overseas, and we went, and I was like, man, this is so good. And it was my first missionary experience, her first global mission experience, and I saw God just opening her up. She was just flourishing in that environment. She knew that global missions and ministry were going to be a part of her life, and I was sitting there I knew I was doing things that mattered, and we were sharing the gospel, but I was like, I'm not getting that feeling. I'm not getting that draw. As I would spend time in prayer, I was like, I'm not feeling called to come back soon, right? Like, I've heard some Lighthouse has gone to Colombia a few times, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've heard people that have gone on those trips be like, man, we're going back and we can't wait. And it wasn't me. For me, you talk about our mission fields. I feel that way at work. God's blessed me with leadership, and I have influence with a lot of people. And in that, it's amazing what you see. When you have an eternal perspective on people and an opportunity to just spend time and talk to them, they'll open up and they'll tell you. There's a guy that he told me about his daughter was going through some illness and things like that. And I got to tell him, hey, man, I don't know where you're at on this, but I pray about stuff like this. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to pray for you right now. And got to pray for him. God blessed me with that moment. But when we opened our eyes and said amen, there were 5 people that had just in passing by saw us and jumped in and just cast their arms around us.
That's
right?
Awesome.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
I got a friend named Tim, a coworker named Tim, that starting on Friday, he's like, hey, my mom's going into hospice. I lost my dad 45 years ago, and all I have is my mom left.
Yeah. This
is really hard on our family. And we prayed through, and she went home to be with the Lord on Sunday night, and but got to pray with him several times. And what a sweet blessing for me.
Yeah.
But also just knowing that this is the sort of opportunity we have, is to go out and lead people and let them know what you're about, so that when they're in that spot, they turn to the Lord and they ask people for prayer, and we get to step in and pray for them when they're struggling to pray, right? And be a part of that sort of situation. I think that's whether it be in Bluffton, whether it's, Matt and I, we're out contract killing. We get these opportunities. If we're at Global Arms, what's this look like for you, Kyle? Tell me about, when you hear mission, what does that look like for you?
So I would say the same as you. You think about going on the missions trip or whatever, and I've been able to do a couple of those in Arizona with some Native Americans. Amazing, wonderful experiences, and I would go back. But same deal. I don't really feel like that's my thing. I think, I guess I would say, I think that mine is just, I have a heart for really lost people, right? Or people in the very beginning of their journey of faith. So if there's a few people I can think of off the top of my head that I've just met in Bluffton, where it's okay, I am quick friends with people for the most part. So it's just, oh yeah, let's go hang out, let's go have dinner, and then we get on certain topics, and inevitably we'll kind of steer it towards there and towards, faith, and then we'll bring it to, oh, you should, maybe come to church. And there's a couple of those people that are now volunteering and doing church stuff with us.
That's awesome.
I'm not doing this. I'm just saying that's where my heart is. I think the people that are kind of on the edges of faith, there's something there, but it's not fully developed. That's kind of where I'm at, I think. And God's blessed me with being able to create relationships with people, because that's something I do easily.
And we skated by it in our notes a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for all four of us in this room right now, our number one mission is our families at this moment,
for sure.
right? What we were talking about a few minutes ago with our kids, like win with our kids and our families, especially while we're bringing up kids, right? Win with our brides. And for so many, like, again, we keep talking about Mother's Day. I'm so blessed to have a bride that's able to work out of the house. Like she's on mission. She's making sure our kids are everywhere they need to be, and she's investing in them always, and how their relationship with the Lord looks, right? Like that's mission one.
Yeah.
While we're raising our kids, right? Like
I heard a speaker talk about how your home is the ultimate mission field.
That's right.
Like that's where you need to, focus most of your energy and most of your time on raising your kids, being a good husband, taking care of your family, because you raise a great son, that's going to impact, so more people. Yeah. It's the butterfly effect.
And I think the key word there is most, right? Yeah. Like you spend most of your time, because I think there are traps on either side of that, right?
That's right.
You can spend all of your energy pouring into your work and pouring into the people that are outside of your home, because, well, these people, they know that I love them, that, I'm going to show up every day, but I got no energy left. And that's not healthy. But the other side of that is I'm just going to hole up here and I'm going to protect my family from all of those bad people on the outside. And I never actually trained them on how to love other people. And then you're neglecting the mission field that's out there. And so it's kind of that same thing for a church, right? You have to be on mission here at home. But at the same time, when there's opportunities to go out, you have to remember that we're called to go out too. And we're called to make disciples of all nations, which really just means all people groups, right? It's not, specific governmental nations like we think of today. It's a diverse group of people who will say yes to Jesus. And God has called us because he's uniquely equipped each one of us. Like there's people that you can talk to that I can't. There's people that I can talk to that y'all can't. And just remembering we're a team on this.
Right.
Like that's one of the things, like we talk about, we serve and lead as a team, but man, we talk about like ministry as a team sport.
That's right.
If you're not having fun as a Christian, it's probably because you're sitting on the sidelines. Man, get in the game. And the game is helping people say yes to Jesus. The game is talking about your testimony and sharing with them, man, the goodness of God and how he has changed and radically transformed your life. Whether you had that like lightning bolt moment or not, like we can all look back and go like, this is old Ben, this is new Ben. And the difference is Jesus Christ.
That's right.
And so just kind of, being ready to have some of those conversations. I think the thing that we have to kind of think about like on Sunday is like warning everyone. What does that look like? Because I think if we just took that face value, it's like, oh, I got to get a bullhorn and I got to stand on the street corner and I got to scream at people, you're going to hell. And it's like, that's not what warning people is. However, it's also not patting them on the back and being like, it's totally fine. Everything's okay. Everything's going to work out. Everybody's got a second chance when they get to heaven, and God's going to give them one last opportunity. Like, we're not universalists here. We have one life, and he's given us everything we need to see and know the truth, and we get to choose. We get to respond to that, and there is a warning in that. If you don't choose God, that's not a good day, and so like we kind of we kind of skimmed over that a little bit too, of just like, okay, so I'm praying that God would end the things that I'm angry about. All of the big statistics. Why in the world does God not do that? And the reality that we all have to kind of come to grips with, if God came today, and there will be a day where he does, like he's slow to anger, doesn't mean he never gets angry. And he's giving us time to repent because he's kind. And he's allowing us the opportunity to turn to him before he would come back. But it's like, man, if God got angry today, and decided to end all evil, there's a lot of people that we wouldn't necessarily see as evil who would not be spending eternity with the Lord. And so, like, when we think about it like that, like, we've got to be calm, and we got to remember, we got to trust. Okay, God has not ended evil yet. He one day will. But, like, the atrocious evil gets ended, as well as the evil that is just simply living my own life led by me. Yeah. That ends too. And so we've got to just continually remind ourselves that, man, it's our job to just help people see Jesus and understand that, like, the good news is like, you don't have to be perfect. He was perfect, and he's offering that righteousness to you as a free gift of of his grace, which, you know, we talked about yesterday, the idea of mercy and grace. We get what we don't deserve, and we don't get what we do deserve, you know? So
that's good.
Yeah. One quick thought, the press, pause, pray thing.
Yeah.
Like, you remember those WWJD bracelets?
Yeah.
That's all over it, man.
Yeah.
PP,
I used to wear a bracelet that E plus R equals O.
I remember that.
PPP.
Yeah.
Bracelet. I think that'd be.
I don't like that.
That doesn't fit.
No. It doesn't. No.
Look, I think it's a great idea.
We tried hard.
It's a great idea.
You know, we didn't talk about this, but the church I got to attend in person this weekend is Pastor John Teague is the guy's name. It's Two Rivers Church down in Chattanooga. And he had this, it was really, really good. It goes to what you were just saying. We were walking in, we got like 3 raffle tickets on the way in the door. And just his illustration at the end, he was like, imagine if you had 50 of these tickets in your pockets. And those tickets, what they were for was you win $100,000 and a brand new truck, right? You're going to get $100,000 in a brand new truck if you just go to this party. Like, your ticket gets you the $100,000 in a brand new truck. Yeah. You just got to show up. Just bring the ticket. He's like, if you had 50 tickets in your pocket, how many tickets would you give away? How many would you give away?
50.
You give away 50, right? Yeah. You wouldn't waste one ticket. You'd make sure that, like, you'd be giving it to whoever. Like, even if you ran out of close family, you'd go to like Starbucks and be like, you've always been super kind to me. I'm going to get you this ticket so you can come and get this thing, right? I'm going to bless you. It was a cool point, because that's what you think about. Like, we have something infinitely more valuable than that you have an opportunity to share with people. And so to go with what you were just saying there, it's like, man, we really do. We have something that is so good and so much better than any like thing that we could give on this planet. And if you love the Lord, if you said yes to Jesus, you have the opportunity to share that every day. There's somewhere that you can share that, even if it's just in an example. Like, while you were talking about that, I was thinking about something that you and I have said a lot. We talked about in the last podcast. Like, I've known pastors that just sacrifice their families at the altar of church. Right. And so the thing I push on you, wisdom that I felt like was given to me by somebody else, and I push on you and some other men in our church regularly, is that we default to no. So if Ben's ever told you no before, if you're listening to this and Ben's like, well, Ben said no, I'm telling Ben, you should say no a lot. Like, when somebody asks us if we can do a thing, the answer is no. And protect our yes, right? So that, like, we're doing the best things possible, that we're not sacrificing our families at the altar of ministry. That's why we're in here at 10:30 at night doing this, because we've tucked our kids in. We went to the games. We did the things. Like, we're not sacrificing our families at the altar of church. Sometimes what you say no to is the right thing. That's the example that you're giving and you're setting for other people to understand. This is what it's like to follow the Lord. This is the next best thing that you can do. Right.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked about, going outside these walls and living our missions, like a mission trip almost every time we walk outside our door or outside the church. But like, actual missions trip, have you guys ever been on one? And what is a cool story, I guess, or funny story or something from your missions trip?
Yeah. Marty, you kind of talked about yours. You want to give a little bit more detail on yours?
Love the Guatemala trip. It was a joy. We got to do a lot of good things. I met a kid named Brian. I think he rode on my shoulders the entire time. Brian was a great kid. I'm sure he's doing great now. We got to see like an active volcano going on while we were there.
That's rad.
but it is heartbreaking situations. We just don't get it. I encourage, even if that's not your call, like you and I have talked about that maybe global missions isn't where we're called to physically be. Like we might be senders in that sort of thing. My encouragement is go once.
Yeah.
Because it'll open your eyes to what's really going on out there. And you might get to see some people that don't have the distractions that we do, right? And see people that will change your relationship with the Lord as you see them having only the Lord to rely on, and they don't get like distracted by some of the things of this world. But yeah, it's been a joy to be. I've gone on a few others since then where you see stuff even within the U.S. and you always get to see God at work. So like if you get an opportunity to do something special, that would be my encouragement. Just go do it. Right. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, so back in 2016, I believe is when it was. It was during the Zika, craze, the whole virus where the mosquitoes were going around. So there's kind of a cool story behind that. But went to Haiti and did the Mission Possible thing. Lots of people from this area have gone through Mission Possible. So this was right before everything really got bad in Haiti. So there was a couple more trips that went after me. And I think the last one, they were kind of like dodging some of the gangs and some of like the roadblocks. And so that was kind of the end of going down there for that. But two things. My wife was pregnant, and that was kind of the big thing. Like if you contracted the virus and she would contract the virus, that could be detrimental to our unborn child. And so it was a lot of prayer going into it. Like, is this what God's really calling us to do? And I felt like I should go. And we were sitting at a missions conference at St. John when we used to go to church there. And, I think Pastor Hervé from Haiti was there, and she just turns to me, no prompt, and she's like, you need to go to Haiti. And I'm like, okay, because I feel like God's telling me to go to Haiti. And so I went, didn't get a mosquito bite the entire trip.
Let's go.
I got sand flea bitten like nobody's business, but no mosquito bites, so that was cool. But I can remember it being one of the most like audible, not like I heard it like audibly, but like I knew God told me something. And while we were down there, it was the first day that the men and the women had to split up, and so they were going to go do something over here. We were going to a different place to do some leadership training, and God just was like, you need to pray protection over the women. Like, they're not going to be with you today. You need to pray protection over them. And I'm like, okay. And so I walked over and I'm like, hey, this is weird. I know we're on a mission trip and we're supposed to be like praying for each other, but this is still weird. I feel like God's telling me to pray protection over you, so I'm just going to do that. Is that okay? I did that. Nobody thought anything of it. That day, they were doing a VBS and they were in a village, and something happened to where like word got out that they were giving some things to the kids who had come to VBS. And then the town started to like descend on the VBS, and they were able to like figure that out, get out of there. But it's like there was a really kind of scary situation that happened that day, and God protected them, And so it was just kind of a cool thing when they came back and told that story. They're like, "How did you know?" And I'm like, "Holy Spirit told me to pray for you, and that's all I did." And so it's just really cool to just look back on that and go like, "Man, thank you, Jesus."
Yeah.
So
good.
I went to Arizona and went to the Hopi reservation there.
Yeah.
And like Marty was saying, like if you've never, you don't have to go to Haiti, you don't have to go to Guatemala. Although those places are
There's
fine.
a third world country
exactly.
in the borders of America, no passport needed.
It is insane how different of a life they live to us in Ohio or wherever else. So kind of same deal. Like, the kids are incredible. Like they're with everything that's going on around them, like people's roofs are caving in and, it's, abject poverty for the most part. The kids are just so full of joy and so happy you're there. And that's cool.
That's good.
I thought like the coolest thing for me was, I was able to witness like this ceremonial thing that they do, that not a lot of people get to see outside of their tribe, and just kind of,
it's really cool.
Really kind of dig into how they live and everything else. I got to teach in front of like a mesa, which was amazing, because it's gorgeous out there. Really hot.
Yeah.
Like very hot.
For those of us non-Spanish speakers, what's a mesa?
A mesa?
That's what you said.
Like a mesa, like, like a thing that kind of plateaus and then just falls
Okay.
off.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I haven't taken like sixth grade geography since sixth grade, so
Mesa. I didn't think
I'm not going to
mesa
assume
was-
anybody knows what that is.
No. Well, no. So it was just really cool, and I would encourage everybody to find something if there's somewhere you've always wanted to go.
And here's what I would put on that too. Like, if you are physically incapable of doing that, like, man, don't. But like, be the first one to step up and support people.
Sure.
You know, like if someone's asking for donations to go on, because I think that's something that happens, right? Like, I can't go on a mission trip because I can't afford it. 90% of the time, you don't have to afford it. People will help you pay for it. Right. And a lot of that time is like, I can't physically do this, but I know you can, so I'm going to support you because I'd love to, but I just can't.
God's in control of all the money.
Yeah.
It all goes down. That's Callie just learned that going to Bahrain. She was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. And then
because
she
you had
sent
to
the
fund
letters,
yourself.
and God provided all the money. So it'll all work out.
Yep. No. Awesome. Well, I think that is kind of a wrap on this bonus.
We've probably gone out of time.
2.5.
Did we go too long,
The
Matt?
arm was raised
Are we here?
15 minutes ago.
I think
Well,
we're like,
holy smokes.
we're
The arm
good.
was raised
Hour.
15 minutes ago? Sorry, guys.
No, sorry.
We need to wrap this up.
No, sorry. This was
Love
amazing.
God. Love others.
Right.
Smoochy smooch. Smooches and deuces.
Smooches and deuces.
We love you guys.
All right.
We'll be back soon.
Thanks for listening to the episode.
Yep.